Imus in the Morning 2020 Sports with Mark Green.
There's a drive to left field. I don't know. Could be that ball is out of here. Cubs win it 4-3. Oh, doctor.
Dodgers lose and fall out of first. Good morning, Mike Breen with Sports. Jerry Coleman with the call from Wrigley Field. Last night, Cubs beat the Dodgers in 12 innings on Sammy Sosa's two-run homer in the bottom of the 12th. Cubs haven't had a lot of dramatic wins like that one, so Sosa was pleased to help.
I just, got lucky, to be the first people because he, been playing a lot of good Major League ball play, and nobody ever do it. So I'm the first one. Thank God give me the opportunity, and I hope just keep it continuous in the same way that I've been doing lately.
Got to feel happy for Sammy. And for the Cubs.
Well, my observation about that, though, is he speaks English better than I speak Spanish.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what?
Well, I agree. Go polish your head.
This isn't Mexico.
Yeah.
Right out loud. If you were in Mexico, that'd be a good statement.
It's not a library either, which is the reason you're here.
Even though the Dodgers lost and are now one game back of the Giants, it was a joyful day for the franchise as their former manager, Tommy Lasorda, was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Lasorda managed the Dodgers for 20 years, won 2 World Series, so it was a special day for him, at least for a while. A beautiful ceremony until Lasorda started going on and on. Crowd at first became a little restless with all his nonstop stories. Then they started to boo. Still, Lasorda didn't get the message.
I'll get off in a minute. I'll get off. I have something to say.
This is just painful.
Still in all, it was a wonderful day.
Yeah. Oh, man. You have got to get some new cuts.
Also inducted, Phil Niekro, who won 318 games in his career.
What do you mean? That was...
And the late Nellie Fox. Nellie Fox went on to host that great kid show, Wonderama.
How about Tommy's drinking problem? Yeah, I was more a little real.
Never.
Didn't anybody push him at the event?
Of course, Tommy also feels baseball really doesn't have a clue today.
No.
Wouldn't know a baseball if it hit him in the lip.
Yeah.
And Willie Wells, the former Negro League star, was the 4th one inducted yesterday.
Oh, that's great.
NBA note, Sixers guard Allen Iverson has been arrested on charges of drug and gun possession.
Oh, you're kidding.
Happened early yesterday morning in Virginia. Iverson, a passenger in a car that was going about 100 miles per hour. Police found a gun under his seat and some marijuana.
Racism.
I can't believe that.
Shocking.
Allen Iverson, are you sure?
Yeah, the last guy you'd think. Iverson admitted the gun was his.
Because I'm black.
That will be fine, Alan.
Preseason football from Dallas. The demise continues. Cowboys lose their preseason opener. Oakland Raiders beat them 34-27 in Irving, although head coach Barry Switzer tried to look at the positive.
They played with a lot of emotion today.
I'm begging you to get out of this studio.
Sounds to me like he's feeling some pressure.
Ricky Rudd won the Brickyard 400. My brother, in his Tri-State Jeep Eagle Sports Lock of the Week, predicted that Dale Earnhardt would. And at the finish, Mr. Earnhardt was at least 2 laps down. And could have been more. Man,
Man, oh, man.
Just stop. It is just time to pull over to the side of the road and park it. God, it's just over. So, and there were probably some tennis tournaments around and golf. And
Hingis won again.
Oh, she did. She
beat Celis in the finals of the Toshiba Classic.
What was the score?
Straight sets. She's won 9 of 10 tournaments she's entered this year, 54 of 55 matches this year.
Oh, Lord, that's just amazing.
That's quite a young woman.
She certainly is.
Imus in the Morning, 2020 Sports.
Leather vests, rubber underwear, painful memory of you. Silver chain, ribbons in your hair, KY jelly by the tube, wilted flowers, golden showers, S&M. B&D, leather vests, rubber underwear, you and me. Leather vests, rubber underwear, come and hurt the one. To the Ace Hardware. say that you always hurt the one you love, baby. You hurt me good. Real good. You know what I mean? I mean really good. If you just come back someday, hurt me again that way, anytime you want. You can thank me when you spank me. Feel my pain. Hurt me good. Leather whips, rubber underwear, painful memories. Leather whips, and rubber underwear, painful memories.
Hog Whitman, leather whips and rubber underwear, all right now.
Looking out on the morning rain, I used to feel so uninspired. And when I knew I had to face another day, Lord, it made me feel so tired. Before the day I met you, life was so unkind. You're the key to my peace of mind. You make me feel, you make me like Imus in the morning.
Till the hour, and I am Imus. This morning from the Boston Herald. Marjorie Egan's coming up, and we'll talk to her about Bill Weld and Joe Kennedy and whatever else she wants to talk about. And Tom Friedman, who writes the Foreign Affairs Desk, New York Times, talk to him about his deal, see what, about this latest bombing in Israel. There's a few people who know more about it than he does.
Absolutely.
And we'll see what his story is. Billy Bob's coming up in a minute about talking about these dominatrix. Charles and I were talking about during the commercials about, in fact, whether let's just say you're Marv, Albert.
Okay.
And whether in fact this is a situation, we go into one of these, Mistress Hilga, whether this is in fact like a
Getting cut off.
like an addiction,
Or
just if just your
thing.
normal sexual desires,
Mm-hmm.
and
Your normal sexual expression.
yeah,
Whatever.
so that's pretty much been shut off, hasn't it? Or
Well, as we were speculating, I certainly from Marv traveling, I would assume to see anybody or go to any of these 30-odd places that supposedly exist around New York where one can engage in these activities. I don't think Marv can be putting his face in that place right now. So that it would be similar to, one suddenly having to confront, if that is the way you find satisfaction in expression, then suddenly you cannot do that. It's like forcing you into celibacy, I suppose.
Except they go to your house for a fee.
And right, I guess you can have.
Come on, Chuck.
somebody would have that, the Globe or somebody would have that situation covered, wouldn't
If what? If
somebody's making house calls over.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, but I guess you could. There are people who do contract work, I assume.
Yeah.
Who you could call, Mistress.
And then, it occurs to me, here's the thing that I understand life is not fair. I'm not hideously naive, but I always thought Marv was a little prissy and a little too hysterical about every time he said something about him, he'd be on the phone. But but that's not a big deal. But he's not a bad guy.
Absolutely not.
In fact, I don't know anybody who disliked him. So, and he wasn't a guy who was always dissing other people or holding himself as some paragon of virtue,
In fact, didn't the rap on Marv that he's extraordinarily supportive and helpful of people who, getting started in the business and all that. And
now, if this situation in Virginia, in fact, if he did in fact assault her,
that's totally
then that's
different.
Yeah.
So, but just if you want
the services of whatever this is does not make you a bad person.
Dr. Georgia Whitkin will be here tomorrow to discuss this with her. You know, I wonder if we should get, I'll have Dana talk to Dr. Whitkin today, or I will, whether we should have a dominatrix here for Dr. Whitkin to question.
To whip up on, so to speak.
Wouldn't Dr. Whitkin have a better idea? I mean, I don't know what to ask him. Well, the basic questions I could figure out, obviously.
Well, you would get a better insight, and I guess, into that whole arena.
Maybe we'll ask Dr. Whitkin, see how she feels about that. She may not want to do that, but...
She's kind of loose.
Maybe she'll want to appear here in the role of a dominatrix herself.
Dr. Whitkin?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No?
Well, I don't think so.
Worth a shot, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's worth a shot.
We could act.
I just don't think it's worth anything.
We certainly could act. Bernard is right.
I'll do all four of these live things. Does it make... Yeah, I can do them all four live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any conflict. Let's look and see if there's a conflict, but there's not.
All right.
That's cool.
It is... so I mentioned Marge Egan and Tom. What are the news headlines today? I mean, I'm not even paying attention. I'm tired.
Well, the biggie is the UPS strike.
Oh, okay.
And the UPS strike, the Israelis supposedly are frantically trying to find 2 more teams of suicide bombers, such as the one that hit the Jerusalem market. The alleged mastermind of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, Ramzi Youssef, goes on trial today in New York. Israeli Secret Service and police have supposedly been dispatched over here to look into this alleged plot to bomb the New York City subways last week to see if those 2 guys, Palestinians who were arrested, do in fact have any connection to Hamas, even though Sandy Berger yesterday said that no evidence has come up to suggest that. And the 1996 NBA Rookie of the Year, Mr. Allen Iverson is in difficulty for supposedly possessing a gun and some marijuana and stuff and driving like a crazy guy.
Was he driving?
And
he wasn't driving the car, was he?
The car was gone. He was a passenger in the car, but then they stopped the car and found the stuff. And
found a gun under the seat and some marijuana.
Yep. Okay. And that's about it. I mean, there's the Newsweek, the seamy story involving the president.
Well, this is pretty good. Explain this to me.
Newsweek is quoting a former White House aide as saying that an ex-White House worker, this Catherine Willey, who's been subpoenaed by the Paula Jones attorneys, they're trying to establish a pattern of behavior on Mr. Clinton's part.
Of course.
That, in fact, this apparently, according to this lady, did happen. That the president in 1993 made advances and fondled Ms. Willey.
Right. But that she didn't mind.
But that she didn't mind, and in fact, emerged, I guess, joyful from this, disheveled but joyful, with her lipstick all askew and another, and so anyway, this lady has come forward to speak to Newsweek magazine.
Sounds hot.
So that it would not be construed as an incident of sexual harassment by Bill Clinton, but rather something that apparently Kathleen Willey did not find distasteful.
Well, come on, baby.
Her husband was out of the picture.
Yeah. Well, her husband was out of the picture.
Yeah, he had just committed suicide.
On November 29th, 1993, he was found shot dead in his car. His death was ruled a suicide.
Pardon me?
According to the Washington Times, Ms. Willey's husband, who was a lawyer, Edward Willey, and had also worked on the 1992 campaign, as had Ms. Willey, and was in Little Rock with Clinton on election night. Less than a year later, Edward Willey was accused of embezzling $250,000 from one of his clients, and then on November 29th, 93, he was found in his car, shot, dead.
And then the slick one was grabbing her breasts about a month later.
His death was ruled a suicide.
How soon after that did this alleged incident occur?
Well, I think Bernard has it just about
a month.
About correct. That it wasn't.
This is perfect.
Come on, shut up.
No.
Bernard here now from the State Nervous Hospital, Billy Bob.
I reckon you all know what I think about this dominatrix deal. Some people call it a mistress. I call it a dominatrix. Because you can have a dominatrix for a mistress, but a mistress don't always have to be a dominatrix. It's like that Frank Gifford feller. His mistress wasn't a dominatrix. She didn't need to be, because his wife was. Now, I know I'm a mite slower than most people, but I just can't understand why some folks would pay somebody to call them names, make them wear a collar, whip them like a dog. Although I heard it said, you always hurt the one you love. So maybe that's got something to do with it. Seeing how I love my mother and ended up killing her with a sling blade. I reckon they're saying this fella with that funny-looking wig, what looks like a mustard green sitting on top of his head, paid this fat woman to make him wear a collar, beat him like a dog. And people say I'm here in a nervous hospital because I'm crazy. Now, I might have killed me a person or three with the sharp edge of a sling blade, but I ain't crazy enough to pay some fat woman make me wear a collar, or beat me like a dog, or for that matter, wear a wig what looked like a mustard green sitting up on top of my head. But I reckon that fat lady must have made that boy crazier than me. I reckon she got him to believing where he was a dog, and that could be why he bit that other woman so many times. Just a shame he didn't think he was a dog before he got into all this mess. Because instead of going to either one of them for loving, he could have just stayed home and licked himself.
The other series, Seattle wins in Phoenix in overtime. That series tied at 2 games apiece. But despite the loss, the Suns will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow they'll be Suns. That game would have gone to a second overtime, but it wasn't tied after the first OT.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
One other NBA note, Rookie of the Year, Allen Iverson of the Philadelphia 76ers, who said he wasn't concerned even if the media didn't vote for him.
In my heart, I knew who the Rookie of the Year was, but it wasn't up to me to decide that.
Mm-hmm. Who says you can't talk after you smoke crack?
In the morning.
All right, here now on the Imus in the Morning program, legendary New York City rock and roll disc jockey Scott Muni. Scott,
I can't get the picture out of my head. Him naked and hog-tied, getting spanked with a hockey stick. Brings new meaning to the phrase, kick, save, and a beauty, doesn't it? I don't know why everybody's so surprised he went to a dominatrix. Anybody who wears a hairpiece like that has to be into humiliation.
Scottso.
What? Oh, Scottso here with you. And speaking of humiliation, the big news coming to the North Meadow in Central Park, live in concert, Garth Brooks. And considering the type of folks who actually attend Garth Brooks shows, the Sheep Meadow'd probably be more apropos. I can hardly wait. I'm putting on my kickers right now, because there's nobody I'd rather kick the out of than this doughy bastard. He's taken country music and brought it to new levels of soporific, brainless endeavor, running around the stage with that wireless Madonna microphone headset looking like a fat version of Judy from Time Life books, wearing this big Jed Clampett 55-gallon cowboy hat, which is apparently the only size that can hold both his gargantuan ego and that disturbingly fat head of his. Man, if there's anybody who looks more ridiculous than the I-Man in a cowboy hat, it's Garth Brooks. And pretentious? This is the guy who retires from show business every time he's got an album or concert tour that needs a little extra shot in the arm. Then, just when you think there is a God and Garth is finally gone, it's, well, I can't disappoint the fans, they need me. And he's back like a yeast infection. I'll never forget that interview with Barbara Walters where he showed us all his feminine side and wept. And I'm thinking, this is so tedious, I'm gonna start crying. This promises to be the most asinine event to hit Central Park in its history. And that's something, considering it once hosted Elton John in a Donald Duck costume. I can only hope we get another one of those Diana Ross-style monsoons, and that in the time-honored tradition of the show must go on, Chubby Bob decides to go ahead with the concert, hooked up to that McDonald's drive-thru headset. He steps in a puddle, and God finally decides to make a a statement about pop culture. There's a bolt of lightning, and zap! The bromidic buckaroos standing inside of the fire. And the thunder rolls.
What do you think of this latest information about Marv Albert, Fred?
I don't have any problem with Marv.
No, just that his name showed
I mean,
up in
they're
a...
just making these allegations, and they're trashing this poor guy with the allegations that may or may not be true, you know? That's the unfair part of this.
I understand that, but his name showed up in her book and his phone number.
Did mine?
Well, there was a page missing.
Well, there was a page missing, Fred.
Your radio sounds funny in the morning. You're listening to Imus in the morning.
Good morning, Phil.
I want to just thank you for getting me to read again. Now, you've stopped talking about what books you're reading. My kids couldn't believe I'm...
You want you to talk about more books? Jeez. Am I having a nightmare? Books?
Buck, shut up.
Hello, we're out here talking to a few of today's most eligible bovine. Yes, cows, because, well, love really has no boundaries. Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
And your boundaries is...
Lance, my friends call me Lucky.
So, Lucky, what's your secret for attracting women?
Well, as you can see, this place is a real meat market.
Boy, no kidding.
So a romantic night into the stars and a good bowl of oats is just a lot of bull to these babes.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You see, the real ticket to a woman's heart only comes around once a year.
Like Paris in the springtime?
Oh, no, it's the Ohio State Fair.
Wow, the Ohio State Fair.
Absolutely. It's just the ticket, if you know what I mean.
Ticket. Oh, a little heifer humor there.
Bada bing.
Right.
Come face to face with a T-Rex or mingle with a mastodon. Discover over 30 life-size dinosaurs in the new Columbia Gas Jurassic Journey Adventure. All free at the Ohio State Fair. So fall in love August 1st through the 17th. For more information, call 1-800-BUCKEYE.
So, Lucky, any other romance tips?
Oh, yeah, you gotta watch... Whoa! Hey, I was about to say you gotta watch where you step. Sorry about that, Chief.
That's all right.
Makes a bad first impression.
I gotcha.
Discount tickets at Kroger.
Listen for traffic updates with Road Warrior Lee Jolly. Weekday mornings on Real Talk, 1390 AM, WRTK.
Imus in the morning news time is coming up on 6 minutes past the hour. Tom Friedman from the New York Times and Marjorie Egan from the Boston Herald are coming up. First, we will talk with Miss Egan, and then Mr. Friedman. Well, I received disturbing facts this morning from Peter Mortimer, who my friend at Arizona Highways Magazine, who's a fabulous guy.
Mm-hmm.
Great photographer, by the way. Great photographer. Just a note, just a quick note, because I forgot to tell you something about shooting this particular area where I'm going to shoot in Monument Valley. Well, I'll be there a week from today.
Yep.
As you walk around the last bend and can see this particular area, there's a group of rocks set away from the wall. Mm-hmm. Best not to sit on or near those rocks because a pretty big rattlesnake lives there. Well, the rattlesnake's days are numbered. Because I'll shoot the rattlesnake.
Well,
that's what I will do.
Well, how about not provoking the Mr. Rattlesnake and letting him live with one with nature, and all is well.
I may want to shoot from that location.
From right on those rocks, right? You might want to set the tripod up.
You remember the monk deal, the Christ in the Desert Monastery situation?
Sure.
And Rosie? This is this woman DeFranco had the hots for?
Yeah.
Claiming, of course, DeFranco claiming this sort of spiritual epiphany, which is just ridiculous.
Totally.
There's a story about Rosie. She went out in the desert someplace to camp. And in the area that she chose to camp in, there was a rattlesnake there. And the rattlesnake came out and curled up, ready to strike her, And Rosie stared down the snake.
Cool.
And I guess somehow meditated and
made the snake
coexisted then in this area with the snake for
there you go.
about 10 days.
See?
Something like that.
There you go. You don't have to shoot the snake. Just welcome the snake.
I don't have time to sit down and meditate with the snake.
Might not take very long. You can move.
Well, I think the snake will sense my,
that you're one with him.
I'm not one with the snake.
So you're a lizard.
Yeah. It is 8 minutes after the hour. Also, Andy Rooney is coming up, and they're in the New York Post this morning. There's a big full-page ad run by this outfit characterizing Mike Wallace, my friend Mike Wallace, our friend Mike Wallace, right, as a Clinton lapdog. Yep. This is the full-page ad that ran in the New York Times here 2 or 3 weeks ago. So we'll revisit that. So just to,
since they are,
rain more agony on Mr. Wallace. Why should he have a nice day?
Well, he shouldn't.
Anyway, it's time for the national news now with that Charles McCoy. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, man. Hundreds of thousands of business owners around the country probably are having less than a perfect day because they're going to have to scramble to find ways to get their packages delivered. The Teamsters have gone on strike against United Parcel Service, which handles 12 million parcels and documents every day. And UPS spokesperson Gina Elrich says the company will do its best to get the packages out.
It would basically be to handle what packages that we have in our system as best we can, to operate as normally as possible, as best we can with our management people and our non-union workers. From that point, we would handle critical shipments and emergency goods, and then our premium services and international services.
Right.
Federal mediator John Calhoun Wells says the strike could hurt the country's economy. He says both sides tried hard, though, to avert a walkout.
Until the moment when it came apart, I thought we were going to get something done. And we did have some useful discussion, but it didn't work.
No, it didn't. The principal sticking points in the talks, the issues of part-time employment and pensions. The U.S. Postal Service, meantime, is making preparations for an extraordinary increase in volume and will be limiting customers to 4 packages per visit. But despite all of that, the various other services are able, whatever they're able to provide, it is not going to be enough in the estimation of just about everybody looking at the thing, that they're not going to be able to take up the slack. The suspected mastermind of the bombing that hit the financial nerve center of New York is due to go on trial today. Ramzi Youssef is accused of driving a bomb-filled van into the underground garage of the World Trade Center. The 1993 attack killed 6 people, injured more than 1,000. Opening statements get underway this morning. Prior to that, the judge will ask jurors whether they've been affected in any way by last week's arrest of 2 West Bank natives who allegedly were within hours of planting a bomb on the New York subway. Bomb or bombs.
Let me have that New York Post thing, would you?
You betcha. On Friday, the judge ruled against the defense attempt to suppress FBI evidence in light of criticism of the Bureau's crime lab. 2 of the prosecution witnesses, Steve Burmeister of the FBI and British forensics expert Linda Jones, also testified at the Oklahoma City bombing trial. 14 men are already in prison on charges related to the Trade Center bombing, and today the alleged mastermind goes on trial.
Mike Wallace, the Clintons' lapdog. Do you really know Mike Wallace? For years, you watched and believed 60 Minutes correspondent Wallace. Each Sunday, for as long as anyone can remember, Mike Wallace has been playing the role of Grand Inquisitor for truth and justice. Now a newly released, riveting documentary video, which you can buy from these clowns for $45, Citizens for Honest Government in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, all right.
So just more agony for our friend Mr. Wallace. In addition to this video, you can also get Vincent Foster, What Really Happened, and Obstruction of Justice and Arkansas Story. So 3 big videos for $45. Fire up your conspiracy theories.
There you go, sure. What do you mean theory?
What else going on?
Agents of the Israeli Secret Service have been dispatched to this country to look into the alleged plot to blow up a New York subway station last week. U.S. officials say they have not found any link, though, between the suspects and Middle East militants. President Clinton's national security advisor, Sandy Berger, told CBS that so far there's no evidence to establish that sort of link. Berger also said U.S. envoy Dennis Ross will be heading back to the Middle East in an attempt to get the peace process going again.
Right now, we've got to get the security cooperation moving in a much more vigorous way. Beyond that...
It's just so tedious. And has he gotten fatter, by the way?
I don't know.
Looks like he's put on even more weight, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, it's the pressure of that job. So.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Eating to, self-medicate, certainly.
Yeah.
Sandy Berger, nevertheless, appearing on CBS's Face the Nation yesterday, I-Man.
No.
And Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says he wants assurances the Palestinians will crack down on terrorists if there is any hope for the peace process.
We expect the Palestinian Authority to do what it hasn't done so far, and that is to take an all-out effort, an all-out sweep to round up the terrorists, their leaders, interrogate them, and of course cooperate with us in the sharing of information that may prevent additional tragedies, additional blows to peace.
Meantime, Israeli authorities reportedly are searching and frantically for 2 teams of suicide bombers that supposedly are out there somewhere, such as this one which hit the crowded Jerusalem marketplace last Wednesday. 15 people died in that, including the 2 bombers, and 150 people were hurt. And there is the story out of Washington. The ex-White House aide, subpoenaed last week by Paula Jones' lawyers to see if she had been groped by President Clinton, might have had a consensual fling with him, according to a story about it in Newsweek magazine.
Thank God.
Jones' lawyers want to talk to Kathleen Willey in hopes that her story will help him prove that Mr. Clinton has a pattern of sexually harassing women. But Newsweek quotes 2 of Willey's former associates saying she was not upset about having been groped by the president. Willey's lawyer, Dan Gecker, yesterday said he had not seen the Newsweek article and could not comment on it. Last week, Gecker vowed to fight the subpoena. Linda Tripp, a former executive assistant in the White House counsel's office, now tells Newsweek that she bumped into Ms. Willey immediately after the supposed groping incident and that Willey was not in any way appalled, as she put it.
Oh, thank God.
She said Willey was disheveled, her face was red, and her lipstick was off. She was flustered, happy, and joyful, Ms. Tripp tells Newsweek.
Oh.
And Tripp said Willey graphically described the incident, saying Mr. Clinton had taken her from the Oval Office to his private hideaway, where he kissed and fondled her, evidently, at least you can say not to her dismay, but rather to her delight, at least.
Well, according to this other woman.
According to Linda Tripp.
Oh, well, it's just the whole thing's ugly.
It is. So, I don't know, I-Man.
Well,
I'm very disturbed.
It's 1/4 after the hour.
Imus in the morning.
And now for Media Watch, Walter Cronkite.
Return with me now to July 20th, 1997, a Sunday filled with the events that alter and illuminate our times. The Times, in this particular instance, the New York Times. We open the paper, you and I, to page 16E, and discover there a full-page advertisement focusing on my old friend and colleague, Mike Wallace, Dean of the CBS News magazine 60 Minutes. The thrust of the message, that correspondent Wallace is less than what he appears to be, that my associate of so many, many years is not the Grand Inquisitor for Truth and Justice he would have us believe. No, that he is, in fact, the possessor of a dark side that has cast him in a role of little more than, in the words of the ad, a lapdog for Bill and Hillary Clinton. May I state for the record, I've known Mike Wallace for all of his and most of my journalistic career. I know the man intimately. I know what makes him tick. I know what he brings to his desk every day. And so I can say to the people behind this Citizens for Honest Government group, without fear of contradiction or disavowal, you could not have hit the nail more squarely on the head. Yes, in the view of this old, time-tested, award-festooned chronicler of the rush of history, it's about time somebody outed the oh-so-handsome Mr. Wallace, walked up behind the prissy know-it-all, and yanked his pants down from around the flabby fanny he so sanctimoniously turned in the face of interview victims with whom he was displeased. Lapdog indeed, currying favor with and carrying water for the whole horrible hayseed herd who continued to hold a nation hostage. Nothing seems more apt to me than the cartoon that accompanies Sunday's ad. The president, the first lady, leash in hand, strolling purposefully with a compliant canine, a malleable mutt whose collar reads, Spike Wallace. Yes, it's our fuzzy little CBS chum, prancing about the feet of Mr. and Mrs. Clinton, waiting for his ears to be scratched, and for a bone to be thrown for having performed on cue. Performed as he did when interviewing Clinton administration top felon, for now, Webster Hubble. When Mike was so adoring, it made you wonder whether the next step might not be for Trooper Danny Ferguson to deliver him to Mr. Clinton for a knee knock episode. Unfair? Of course. Untrue? Undoubtedly. But then that's never deterred us before. Indeed, this old ink addict is only following the 60 Minutes model of malice, mendacity, and unctuous insinuation. In fact, upon reflection, I say congratulations to correspondent Wallace and his confederate, 60 Minutes age producer Don Hewitt, both the kind of lapdogs we like, who'd mount a hidden camera in a Cocker Spaniel's butt, if necessary, to ambush an adversary and go to bat for Bill. Yes, Mike Wallace, changing the tenets of journalism from who, what, where, when, and why, to fetch, sit, stay, heel, and stop licking your Media Watch, this is Walter Cronkite. Thank you and good night.
Irineo Tristan Montoya, no longer with us. He was executed by lethal injection at the Texas State Penitentiary in Huntsville last night.
What did he say?
As you understand it, Mr. Montoya also was protesting his innocence.
If he did, he won't do it again.
No, he won't.
And putting him in prison without the possibility of parole is specious at best.
No two guys four corners in his future.
No, looking at pretty pictures of rocks and yucking it up.
Not two
That's
guys.
not going to happen.
Two guys, four corners, one guy, one hole.
Yeah,
that's all there is to it.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
Well, here now to speak further to these issues, and that issue is Mike Wallace from 60 Minutes and CBS News. Good morning, Mr. Wallace.
Good morning, Mr. Imus. Incidentally, aren't you unnecessarily beating up on my colleague, Mr. O'Brien?
Probably. Thank you, Mike.
That's all right. And I must say, you put the back of his head on close-up.
No.
And it is not the most attractive sight I've ever seen this early in the morning.
No, sir, it's not. Thank you for participating and bludgeoning Mr. O'Brien.
Thanks, Mike.
In the morning.
And now, Imus in the morning, 2024, with Mark Reed.
This is the greatest thing that ever happened to me in my lifetime.
A special day for Tommy Lasorda. Good morning. Mike Breen with Sports. Baseball's Hall of Fame inducting 4 new members yesterday in Cooperstown, including the former Dodger manager who in his 20 years at the helm led the Dodgers to a pair of World Series championships. Also inducted Phil Niekro, Nellie Fox, who later had a great career as the host of Wonderama, that kids show, and Willie Wells, the former Negro League star. 4 new members, and we congratulate them on a wonderful, wonderful day.
I've just learned that we're on in Syracuse, New York this morning on Sports Radio 620 WHAN. So part of the Cox Radio Group, which is a great radio company.
There you go.
Joel Delmonico is the general manager, and the operations manager is Ken Charles. And
He said, Tom.
as I did say. I did say Cox.
Yes, you did.
So we're pretty happy about all that, Mike.
So we be reporting Syracuse Orangeman stories?
Absolutely.
And the Jaguars at the
In
Players'
fact,
Drive?
Syracuse is part of the kickoff classic at Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands, so they'll be taking on Wisconsin.
Oh. Yeah. Baseball last night, Dodgers losing 12. Cubs beat them 4-3 on Sammy Sosa's 12th inning 2-run homer. Dodgers now a game back of the Giants in the National League West. The other night game was Texas topping Cleveland 8-7. Indians lead over the Brewers remains 3.5 games.
Please get out.
All right, fine.
We'll sign off.
And that's Sports. I'm Mike Breen.
Imus in the morning. Imus.
It's 30 minutes past the hour, and I am Imus in the morning, and we're in New York City this morning, syndicated around the country by Westwood One Entertainment, part of CBS Radio. We're on in Syracuse, New York this morning, as I was mentioning a few minutes ago, on Sports Radio 620 WHAN, which is part of Cox Radio. I didn't realize we were on there, but... I just, because I don't pay any attention to what's going on, so that's one of the reasons. We are simulcast on MSNBC Monday through Friday. It's a cable television effort of Bill Gates and NBC television people. Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Margie Egan writes a very entertaining column for the Boston Herald, and our goal is to see her on the News Hour with Jim Lair.
You bet.
Sitting next to that fat drunk from the Globe, Mike Barnacle, providing some balance to Mr. Barnacle's liberal whinings. Anyway, here from Boston is Miss Egan. Good morning, Miss Egan.
Geez, maybe I'll get a call now, huh? Since you advertised that on the radio, I'd love that.
How great would that be?
Oh, being on the News Hour?
Yeah.
Being on the News Hour, that'd be great.
So how are you?
I'm great. I'm down here on vacation, just minutes from the Kennedy compound, waiting for another scandal.
Do you have your
It's been a
children?
good summer, you know.
Do you have your children with you?
I do have my children with me. You heard about Ethel with the garbage truck down here, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
She had a little snafu with the garbage truck driver, you know, when he called her a sweetheart when she nearly ran him off the road, and she called to complain. And you heard about Joe Kennedy and the fireworks.
Yeah. About him trying to set his child on fire?
Yes, and his wife was on television last week complaining about it.
Mm.
And this week we had the mayonnaise incident, where Joe let the mayonnaise go bad. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
On the tuna fish, the sandwiches?
No, tell me. I don't know any of this stuff.
Well, we had this with this little Joe Kennedy, as you know, has had a very bad summer. Michael Kennedy, his younger brother, you know, the alleged affair with the babysitter, and now he had fireworks for over 4th of July. Joe illegally obtained these fireworks, and his ex-wife Sheila was on television in Boston last week saying that this was an outrage, that Joe tried to cover up the seriousness of the wounds, and she was complaining about his temperament to run for governor. And this weekend, of course, it's very hot here down the Cape, and Joe, I guess, took the teenage twins out sailing, and his new wife, Beth, made the tuna sandwiches, and they didn't keep the mayonnaise cool enough, you know, when it went bad.
Right.
And they ate the sandwiches, and they got a little sick, and supposedly Sheila's going to be on Nightline tonight, talking about the bad mayonnaise and the tuna sandwiches. And this is the final straw. Joe can never be governor now. It's, you know, he doesn't have the temperament, and the GOP candidates are going to go crazy with this mayonnaise story. It's wild.
Sheila Kennedy is going to be on, what name does she use now?
Sheila Rausch Kennedy. We all know she wrote the book about the annulments.
Yeah. And she's going to be on Nightline tonight?
Well, I'm actually only kidding about the mayonnaise part isn't true, but I think it may happen anytime soon with the way things are going. She may be on talking about the fireworks. I don't know.
Yeah, you can't be setting your kids on fire. So, I mean, that's ugly.
No, it's a problem. I mean, Joe Kennedy, it's amazing, and people think he actually might lose this nomination. He might not even make it to the finals. I don't know.
I'm thinking they could have photographs of Mr. Kennedy, not his brother, but Joe with a babysitter, and he'd still win.
Well, that's what I think. I think he's an unbelievably attractive candidate. You know, he's a good-looking guy. He gives a great talk. People say he doesn't have his father's head, but he's got his father's heart, and he's very impressive. But
I kind of like him. He's a goofball, but I don't know.
Listen, I think he's. It's unbelievable that we're even talking about him losing. But supposedly he's losing a lot of ground with these with women voters and this relentless campaign by his ex-wife. It's a funny thing because she's sort of a mainline Philadelphia, very waspy girl, Sheila Rausch. She's and there used to be sort of this great tradition of kind of keeping your counsel among women with that sort of breeding. But it's incredible. She's gone on the tabloid TV station up here in Boston to complain about Joe and the fireworks. It's I don't know.
At least we have Bill Weld out of the way, don't we? How do you feel about that?
Oh, you know, I got to tell you, reading the papers yesterday, these Washington insiders, these guys like David Gergen complaining about how we up here in provincial Boston may think Bill Weld, you know, a lion, but down here in Washington he's making a fool of himself. I mean, isn't this what's so great about this? That all these Washington insiders are just poo-pooing it and saying it's terrible that he's even pursuing this ambassadorship. I think it's great. And, God, we got Lugar saying he may push for a hearing. I'd love to have Bill Weld in a hearing. I love Bill Weld. Bill Weld, you know, was the cover boy for the best thing about Bill Weld, I loved this about 4 years ago, he posed for the cover as a hetero hero on The Advocate, which is a national, like the U.S. News and World Reports, you know, for the gay community. He was on the cover in this, like, Ralph Lauren outfit with the plaid shirt. He was reclining in this black leather chair. I mean, he's a fun, I don't know how you cannot love watching him down in Washington. I think it's great.
It's 25 till the hour. We're talking with Marjorie Egan, who is on vacation very near the Kennedy compound with her, probably her scope handy. Miss Egan writes for the Boston Herald. What do you make of John Kerry's enthusiastic support of this? Well, as I talked with Senator Kerry and described it as transparent support of Bill Weld's attempts to become the ambassador to Mexico, but was it transparent or genuine? Or?
You know, you have to wonder what's in it for John Kerry, I guess, don't you? And I don't see that. Maybe he's trying to look. I mean, Bill Weld was very gracious when they lost. I suppose you could say it was a gentleman's campaign. They weren't nasty to each other. Maybe it's just he's continuing his graciousness. I thought John Kerry this last time around, you know, we always talked about him. I did, particularly. I made a cottage industry of calling him a stiff and not an inspiring guy. during the debates with Bill Weld, he was so senatorial and so, like, kind of rose above what you expected him. Maybe this is just a continuation. I don't know. I mean, Ted Kennedy's supporting him as well. And people said that's because he wants Joe to have clear sailing. But Ted Kennedy's in the paper as well, saying, it's not the Senate's job to abuse and obstruct. I think he said something like that in terms of Jesse Helms. So he's getting support all the way around. This looks bad, don't you think?
Well,
One guy standing in the way of a nomination hearing?
Well, I read an article on the op-ed page of the Washington Post, and I should have brought it in, but it was by some former member of the Senate, suggesting that there is a way around this where they can take it out of that committee. And I really should know more. I wish I knew more about it so I could explain it. But there is a way to bring the nomination to the floor of the Senate without having to go through the Foreign Relations Committee. But it's
to go ahead with this. I mean, it just seems to me the Republicans. Here's Bill Weld, who's a fiscal conservative and a social liberal, and he's pro-gay rights, and so he thinks we should have medical marijuana. I mean, I think a lot of people think if you're in the last stages of cancer and you want to smoke a few joints, so what? You got a guy like that who's a different kind of Republican than the Jesse Helms types that, when you see the Republican Party every 4 years in the presidential race, kind of caught in the stranglehold of these right-wing conservative nuts. Shouldn't the GOP be looking to people like Bill Weld as their future? I mean, is Jesse Helms the future of the GOP?
I was talking with my friend Willie Nelson, who's one of my heroes, and Willie looks at marijuana in this medicinal sense as almost preventative medicine. So,
well,
Willie's under 60. Willie feels great, So.
Seems to me we could use a little bit more marijuana all the way around, but at least in terms of people that have dread diseases. I mean, I don't think that makes you tough on.
So you sound like you think Bill Weld's going to run for president. That's what this is all about.
Well, I was what do I know? Everybody said he was the stupidest guy in the world to go to Mexico, but I was thinking to myself, well, gee, Mexico's right on the border, California, Texas, big conservative states. If he did a lot down there in terms of immigration issues, in terms of drug policy, couldn't he emerge as a hero to California and Texas? I mean, that's what I thought, but everybody else said that was nuts. So what do I know? I thought ambassador to Mexico would have been a great spot to position him for the presidential race in the future, absolutely. But every pundit in Boston said that was a ridiculous idea. So.
I guess it's still, I guess the betting is that it's still unlikely that he's going to become ambassador to Mexico, but boy, if he does, that sure puts him right up there at the top of the list of folks.
Well, and even if he doesn't, I mean, he's been on the front page of the New York Times. He was on the news shows yesterday morning. I mean, people are talking about this all over the place. He is a different kind of politician. For people like myself that are all style and very little substance, he's so much fun, and he's so different. I mean, he talks in this way. We call them Weldisms in Boston, where he says things like "falderall" and "tain't so" and things like that. And he's got this wonderful, classy wife, Susan Weld, who, unlike our present First Lady, never tried to interject herself into her husband's job. She kept her career at Harvard and academia. He kept his career. He's just got this great sense of, he wants to do it, he wants to be president, he wants to be governor, he wants to be ambassador to Mexico, but he doesn't have this sense of desperation that kind of hangs over most politicians like kind of a black cloud of smoke, you know what I mean?
Oh, sure I do.
And that's what I've always liked about Bill Weld, and this is characteristic of him. Who's ever done this?
It would be funny, though, and amusing if Joe Kennedy were governor. I mean, it just would have to be entertaining because...
Oh, my God. I'm saying novenas for Joe Kennedy. I mean, what would be better for a reporter in Massachusetts than have Joe Kennedy? And I tell you, despite what everybody says, listen, he's going to run against Scott Harshbarger, this attorney general in Washington, who's most famous for, kind of flicking his hair back all the time when he walks into a room. He's constantly running his fingers through his hair,
Well, I like that.
Then against these two Republicans who are, nice guys, but the new acting governor of Massachusetts has, I think, a $800,000 visa bill, that he's paying off. You know what I mean? He has these bad credit card problems, and so I'm not sure that he's the best fiscal, officer to be running the state. Then you got Joe Malone, who's a nice guy, but he's not going to be the guy. I just think Joe Kennedy, he's got the hair, he's got the curls, he's got the teeth. I think he works out about 4 hours a day. He's got these He's in competition with Arnold Schwarzenegger, I guess. He's got these unbelievably developed chest muscles. He's a handsome guy.
Plus, he won't be able to prevent himself from doing things like setting his kids on fire. You know? So, I mean, he's not. I don't think he's a dope, but I just think it's just part of almost will be his legacy that he's just unable to prevent himself from doing something goofy.
You wonder about
or some member of his family will do something to humiliate him.
This is what you wonder about him. When you're under this much scrutiny. Fireworks are illegal in Massachusetts. What are you doing with illegal fireworks and your teenage kid on 4th of July? The kid running into the ocean, do you notice, to stop himself from catching on fire? It was like Michael Jackson. The hair was singed. I mean, the wife gets him home. She says, oh, my God, this is not second-degree burns. This is third-degree burns. She clearly is mad at Joe. She's going on TV talking about this. So you have to say, if you were Joe Kennedy now, you kind of want to be in the straight and narrow. You know?
But, something will happen. You just know it will. Do you care anything about this Marv Albert deal, or does that interest you at all?
Has something happened with the Bice? There's been some movement on the Bice? I don't know.
Well, no, but his name showed up in, we have this dominatrix who was murdered here in New York.
Oh, no.
And
Don't tell me.
Mars' name and phone number showed up in her little black book, so.
Oh, my God.
So that didn't make the papers in Boston?
Gee, if it did, I didn't miss it. I've been listening about the sexual harassment or the sexual liaison, whatever it was, with the president. That was the latest thing I heard about.
Well, you're the latest on that now. This woman told a friend of hers, who also worked in the counsel's office, that it was consensual, I guess.
Well, that's the thing I think is tough about sexual harassment, because it's so much in the eye of the harassee. So you say to yourself, could John F. Kennedy Jr., who's a very handsome man, could he ever sexually harass anybody? I don't think so, because the advances would be wanted, you know what I mean?
I think I sort of do. I'm not sure I do.
Yeah, that's what was the problem with the poor guy that had at Packwood. Who would want to be pursued by him?
Oh, God, we were talking about that. That guy's about the ugliest mouth of any human being I've ever seen. And he's going to stick in his
sexual harassment.
Wow.
Yeah, it was sexual harassment constantly, but no one will ever accuse John F. Kennedy Jr., and I'm surprised. And that may be part of why there's been so few accusations, except for Paula, from Clinton, because Clinton may be a person whose advances people welcome. I don't know.
Have fun on vacation with
thank you very much.
the kids and all that, and we hope to see you on the News Hour.
Okay.
We like having you here.
Thanks.
Marjorie Egan from the Boston Herald. Marjorie Egan, here on the Imus Morning Program, 17 to the hour.
Put another log on the fire. Cook me up some bacon and some beans. And go out to the car and change the tire. Wash my socks and sew my old blue jeans. Come on, baby, you can fill my pipe. And then go fetch my slippers. And boil me up another pot of tea. Then put another log on the fire, babe. And come and tell me why you're leaving me. Imus in the morning.
Good morning, everyone. This is ABC 33 meteorologist Stan Boney with 1390 WRTK weather. A service this morning of the Citizens Banking Company, which was recently ranked the second best mid-sized bank in the nation by U.S. Bankers Magazine. Call the Citizens Banking Company in Boardman, Struthers, Lowville, or on South Avenue. Mostly cloudy with scattered showers today, the high around 75. Mostly cloudy overnight, the low 55 to 60. Partly sunny skies tomorrow, the high around 75. Same thing Wednesday, partly sunny and 75 degrees. With 1390 WRTK weather, I'm ABC 33 meteorologist Stan Boney.
At 7:45, we have 66 degrees at the radio center.
With Big Board Sports, I'm ABC 33's Bob Hennon. Tribe heading into Motown to take on the Tigers tonight, coming off a tough loss, losing in Texas 8-7. Looked like they had sealed the deal with a 7-5 lead going bottom 9. However, Mike Jackson gives up 3. Will Clark sack fly the game winner. The Indians lead, though, staying at 3.5 over Milwaukee. Brewers lose to Seattle 6-5 and 4 over the White Sox. Angels knock them off again 4-1. Tonight, Charles Nagy on the mound. You can hear the game right here. Also, Baltimore beats Oakland 7-5. Still a 6-game edge on the Yanks, a winner over Minnesota 6-5. KC down Boston 5-2, and Detroit over Toronto 5-2. Pirates entertain the Braves at Three River Stadium. John Smoltz, Steve Cook, the opening game matchup in the two-game set. The Bucks without Kevin Young, out 4 to 6 weeks with a torn ligament in his thumb. That's a tough loss for Pittsburgh. They still were able to persevere yesterday, beating Colorado 8-4. Bucks this season against the Rockies 7-1, 6 of those victories coming from behind. They're still 6 back of the Astros, who beat the Mets 3-2. Phillies hammer the Cardinals 10-1. Giants stay in first place, beating Cincy 8-3. Braves lead 5.5 over the Marlins. Florida doubled up Atlanta 8-4, and Montreal down San Diego 6-3. Couple of NFL exhibition games. It's the Raiders beating Dallas 34-27. Jacksonville down in Carolina 23-9. Tonight, Miami and Denver do battle in Mexico City. Dan Marino and John Elway expected to play about a quarter. The Dumaurier Classic up in Toronto, the third major on the LPGA Tour, goes to Colleen Walker, her first win since 1992. She was 2 shots better than Lisa Lott-Neumann. And Virginia police have arrested NBA Rookie of the Year Allen Iverson. He's been arrested on drug and firearm charges. He was the passenger in a car going 93 in a 65-mile zone. Under the mat in front of his seat, they found a gun and also marijuana in the car. Again, the Tribe tonight, Nagy on the mound. You can hear it all right here. That's Big Board Sports. I'm ABC 33's Bob Hannon on 1390 AM WRTK.
Where else can you experience this? And this. And don't forget about this. Only one place. It's the State Farm Eddie Robinson Football Classic. Ohio State versus Wyoming. Big Ten champs are returning to pick up right where they left off. Thursday, August 28th at the Ohio Stadium. Get your seat for the action now. It's the season kickoff. Thursday, August 28th. This is football. This is the Buckeyes. This is you and 90,000 of your closest friends. Ohio State versus Wyoming. It's the season opener, Thursday, August 28th. And you don't want to miss a single hit. $30 tickets are available now at the OSU Athletic Ticket Office in St. John Arena. For more information, call 1-800-GO-BUCKS. That's 1-800-GO-BUCKS. Or 614-292-2624. We'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. Don't miss it.
United Foundries in Youngstown remind parents, teach your children the dangers of strangers. Make sure your children know their full name, address, phone number, and what to do if approached by a stranger. For information on how to properly safeguard your children, call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. This message is from United Foundries, located at 1045 Crescent Street in Youngstown. They're on the air because they care. And remember, it should never hurt to be a child. A reminder from United Foundries in Youngstown.
I want to see stars! Stars, a new movie channel with movies too big to miss, like The Rock, The Nutty Professor, and Phenomenon. Movies you won't find anywhere else. I want to see stars! To order, call your cable operator. And if they don't carry stars, ask them to. If you've got a satellite dish, call 1-800-PRIME-STAR or 1-800-DIRECTV. Only the best movies become stars. An Encore Multiplex. I want to see stars!
WRTK.
The following is a paid political announcement. Here is the senior United States Senator from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Honorable Edward M. Kennedy.
Hello, Mistress Bianca. This is Ted Kennedy. Listen, could you remove my name from your client book? No, I'm still a customer. I just would rather my name didn't appear in your records.
Senator.
Just put down the senator, listed that way. Oh, Senator Kerry is already listed that way. Well, then perhaps we could...
Senator.
Yes, indeed. Just helping a constituent with a Rolodex revision. Anyway, good morning. This is Senator Ted Kennedy. I have purchased this broadcast time today to address a matter of deepening concern to me and to our country. The complete crack-up of William Weld. Now, as you know, Bill Weld is the former governor of my beloved Bay State. He has been nominated by President Clinton to be our next ambassador to Mexico and is pressing a very long odds campaign to win confirmation. Having appeared to support the former governor in his quest, it is now time for candor to prevail. And I, as my other Democratic Senate colleagues, have promoted William Weld's candidacy because we knew that, to put it as delicately as I know how, he belongs in a place where, for amusement, the residents throw their sinks through the windows. In short, during the Weld administration of Massachusetts and uneven performance, it became clear to me and others that he is a nutlog, a deduction that his recent behavior has done nothing to dispel, as he continues to embarrass himself, the leadership, and the rank and file of the Republican Party. To sum up, I and my fellow Democrats have Governor Weld precisely where we want him, cavorting like a red-headed buffoon in the full glare of a national spotlight, jerking his strings like the howdy-doody figure he so closely mimics in both appearance and intellect. Carrot Top without the props. Ambassador, duh. And so, let the word go forth from this time and place to my Democratic colleagues. Ask not how we might derail William Weld's nomination to high ambassadorial service. Ask, rather, how we can persuade Jesse Helms to give the man an audience. Because if you think this has been good to this point, nothing could be finer than hearing the redneck from Carolina say for the 500th time,
Governor Weld, would y'all like to take a little break now to collect yourself?
Indeed, for Democrats, there is little that is more pleasurable than seeing a high-profile member of the opposition party subjected to the congressional equivalent of water torture, if I do say so myself. And you must admit that Bill Weld facing Jesse Helms would certainly be the equivalent of water torture, and a true delight.
What kind of torture, Senator?
Water torture. You know, that unrelenting, steady, never-ending...
yeah, I know.
Oh, you mother...
Now I'm just a bartender, and I don't like my work, but I don't mind money at all. I see lots of sad faces and lots of bad cases of folks with their backs to the wall. And I need four walls around me to hold my life and keep me from going astray. I need a honky-tonk angel to hold me tight, to keep me from slipping away.
Imus in the morning. See your auto owner's agent. They are people just like you. There to guide us, standing by us, strong in every storm.
If you're age 50 or older, we'll give you an auto insurance discount from Auto Owners Insurance. Statistics show that mature drivers have fewer and less costly accidents. So it's only fair to charge you less for your personal auto insurance. Insure both your car and home with us and qualify for more premium discounts and no problem protection through Auto Owners Insurance.
Auto owners and no problem people.
See the Insurance Center of Warren and Moore Peterson Company, Youngstown. Your no problem auto owners insurance agencies.
Auto owners and no problem people.
There are no fancy strategies, no magic tricks, no timing, no get-rich-quick schemes in the Don McDonald newsletter. Nope. Instead, we look at money from a totally different perspective. It's logical, it's sensible, and it's easy to deal with. It's my show in print. If you've decided to become an investor, a real investor, one with a long-term perspective, then this is the newsletter for you. Mutual funds, stocks, bonds, earning money, saving, investing, spending, my thoughts, my ideas, and strategies fill every monthly issue. I know you'll save and make more than the $89 annual subscription price. And if you order now, you'll beat the $19.97 price increase. So call 1-800-237-FUND for my newsletter. That way, you'll always have me around. Call 1-800-237-FUND and order right now. Money-back guarantee, prorated after the first issue. Call 1-800-237-FUND.
There's no better way to enjoy an all-USDA prime and choice steak dinner than by pairing it up with a side order of jumbo shrimp scampi. The folks at Brown Derby Roadhouse on South Avenue already know they have some of the best shrimp scampi right there on the Roadhouse menu. And now they've put together special portions so that any steak lover can have their sides of shrimp and eat them too. Now you can start off with Roadhouse Santa Fe shrimp, plump and tender Red River brew battered jumbo shrimp, deep fried and served with our special Roadhouse dipping sauce, or try 'em Roadhouse style, seasoned in our special marinade, then wood fired over open hardwood flames to the peak of perfection. Either way, when you pair 'em up with your favorite steaks, you know they're mouth-watering good. So next time you build up a hunger for the best steak in town, along with some of the tastiest shrimp sides around, drop on by the Brown Derby Roadhouse on South Avenue. Our jumbo shrimp sides will make you come galloping back for more. The Brown Derby Roadhouse, open for dinner at 4 every day.
Where else can you experience this? And this. And don't forget about this. Only one place. It's the State Farm Eddie Robinson Football Classic. Ohio State versus Wyoming. The Big Ten champs are returning to pick up right where they left off. Thursday, August 28th at the Ohio Stadium. Get your seat for the action now. It's the season kickoff. Thursday, August 28th. This is football. This is the Buckeyes. This is you and 90,000 of your closest friends. Ohio State versus Wyoming. It's the season opener Thursday, August 28th. And you don't want to miss a single hit. $30 tickets are available now at the OSU Athletic Ticket Office in St. John Arena. For more information, call 1-800-GO-BUCKS. That's 1-800-GO-BUCKS. Or 614-292-2624. We'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge. Don't miss it.
It is coming up on 2 minutes till the top of the hour. Tom Friedman, who has an article on a column on the op-ed page of the New York Times this morning, y'all get a chance, might check that out, is writing about why this latest bombing happened in Israel, which is what we're going to discuss with Mr. Friedman when he's on the program here in about a half an hour. But answering many of the questions that I have for him, and answering many of the questions, so maybe we don't even need to have him on now. Maybe I should just read the column.
Sure, just cancel them.
Yeah. So, and if the Times is not available to you,
well, then stay tuned.
Yeah, that would be that situation. And Fred Imus from Santa Fe, New Mexico, my brother's coming up with his Tri-State Jeep Eagle Sports Lock of the Weekend result, which is, as usual, disastrous.
Embarrassing.
Because my brother's picked Dale Earnhardt to win the Brickyard 400, and there at the end of the race, I believe Mr. Earnhardt was at least 2 laps down.
He may still be running.
Unless he's run out of gas.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe I pitted a couple of times, so he's got gas.
Yeah. So Ricky Rudd, I believe, won it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Ricky Rudd?
Yep.
Okay. Jeff Gordon did not win, and that makes me happy because I hate Jeff Gordon.
Why?
I just hate him.
Oh, okay.
I hate him. Here's what he did. I just thought it was a chump move.
What?
The Coca-Cola 400 or 500 or Coca-Cola 600, he won. And he has a deal with Pepsi. So he got out of the car after winning the Coca-Cola 600, he got out of the car with a thing of Pepsi, which is totally unnecessary.
That's stupid.
And just a chump, low rent, trailer park move on the part of this, inbred doofus. So
Bobby Labonte was second.
Yeah.
Dale Jarrett was third.
Yeah.
And Jeff Gordon was fourth.
Yeah. So I mean, that thrilled me to death. Billy Bob is coming up with some thoughts on these dominatrix. Mm-hmm. And Mike Wallace is back with a full-page ad in this morning's New York Post, run by this outfit with a post office box out of Tulsa, Citizens for Something.
Yeah.
Portraying Mr. Wallace as a Clinton lapdog. And there's a cartoon of Mr. Wallace being led in front of the White House by Bill and Hillary Clinton with a little collar around his neck that says Spike. Read Spike.
If you think talk is great, then get real. Real Talk, 1390 AM WRTK, Youngstown.
It's 8 o'clock. Good morning. I'm John Ferguson with this WRTK News Update being brought to you by Kent State University's Trumbull campus. Hundreds of thousands of businesses across the country will be scrambling today to find ways to get their packages delivered. Teamsters have gone on strike against United Parcel Service, which handles some 12 million parcels and documents a day. Strike issues include part-time jobs and pensions. Meanwhile, your neighborhood post office will be feeling the effects of the UPS strike. The Postal Service says it is preparing for an extraordinary increase in volume. Will be limiting customers to 4 packages a visit. Local union presidents have approved a tentative settlement in the 10-month Wheeling pit strike. The work of restarting the plants will begin this week. It'll be more than a month before all 4,500 workers are back on the job. There will not be an issue on the November ballot to address Ohio's school funding woes. Joe Case explains why.
Early this morning, the Ohio Senate rejected a brand-new school funding plan cobbled together over the weekend by House Republicans. The move means Ohioans will not cast a vote on the issue this fall, as the governor had hoped for. As a matter of fact, the action by lawmakers today puts the school funding debate right back at square one. Democrats say they're happy the Republicans failed in attempts to place an issue on the ballot. They've continuously claimed that the process to effectively fix Ohio's ailing schools was going too fast to produce a quality solution. Joe Case, ONN News.
Inmates at the state's first private prison claim the prison is unsafe and they have been hurt by other inmates and staff. They have sued officials and the owner of the $40 million Northeast Ohio Correction Center in Youngstown. Warren police are looking for suspects in that city's latest murder. Neighbors called police to the 600 block of 2nd Street yesterday morning after hearing gunshots. There, officers found 20-year-old Robert Stringer dead not far from his home. A house fire in Niles overnight has been labeled as arson. Somebody set the blaze in the dining room of the house on Robbins Avenue. It then spread, causing $20,000 worth of damage. The Youngstown Vindicator may be hit with a lawsuit by 300 of its independent newspaper carriers. They say the paper has failed to honor an agreement to limit the sales of newspapers through the mail, a move that cost the carriers money. The Ohio Super Lotto jackpot's up to $24 million for Wednesday's drawing because there were no winners on Saturday. There was one winner, the $100,000 top prize in the kicker game, and that ticket was sold in Warren. Indians lost to the Rangers last night 8-7. The Pirates down the Rockies 8-4. The Indians will take on the Tigers tonight. Airtime on AM 1390, 7:05. Mostly cloudy today, some scattered showers, a high of 75. Mostly cloudy tonight with a low of 55 to 60. Right now 66 at the Radio Center. The news this hour brought to you by Kent State Trumbull Campus. I'm Don Ferguson. And now with a look at traffic, here's Lee Jolly.
8076, no problems on the Ohio or Pennsylvania Turnpike at the present time. I'd like to remind you of State Route 616. Resurfacing work is continuing from Brothers Liberty Road to the Trumbull County line. You get Radio Center traffic early mornings right here on Real Talk 1390 WRTK.
Kent State University Trumbull campus, through its Workforce Development and Continuing Studies Center, offers a variety of non-credit programs to meet workforce and professional development, customized training for business and industry, and personal enrichment needs. The fall semester begins September 2nd, and programs will be held from September through December. You can register to attend the Small Business Series of workshops, such as owning and operating a home-based business, starting and maintaining a small business, computerized bookkeeping for small and home-based businesses, and solutions for business success. If you've always dreamed of working out of your home or owning your own business, now may be the time to make that dream a reality. And watch for these exciting new professional development courses: Travel Certification Program and Certified Novell Administrator. Kent Trumbull has become the center for computer training.
Hi, I'm Steve Adler with terrific news about our ASM fund. We just announced one of the lowest expense ratios of any stock mutual fund. Now, more of your money can be invested in our Dow 30 Index Fund, the only fund of its kind. I started the ASM Fund 6 years ago with its conservative dynamic portfolio. It's a no-brainer, appealing to savvy investors. You know the companies in the Dow: Coca-Cola, Disney, McDonald's, just to name a few. We invite you to start with as little as $1,000 or more. Call us toll-free at 1-888-ASM-3030. That's 1-888-ASM-3030.
Dow Jones & Company has not endorsed and is not affiliated with the ASM Fund. Past performance is no guarantee of future performance. For more information, call for a prospectus. Read it carefully before investing.
Good news for investors. ASM follows the Dow 30 Index with one of the low expenses around. Call 1-888-ASM-3030.
Time now for the national news, and here with that is Charles McCord. Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning, I-Man. The strike against United Parcel Service I is in full swing. Teamsters picket lines went up at UPS offices and distribution centers around the nation at midnight after last-ditch talks in Washington failed to produce a contract agreement. The union spokesman says all 206 locals representing 185,000 UPS people are on strike. Teamsters President Ron Carey said the talks just weren't getting anything done.
We have exhausted every possible approach to try to resolve the problem. There are a number of very difficult, complex problems. We've tried.
That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a relief. Thank you. Usually I dispute your use of the bomb. That was a relief.
We just don't need him whining on and on. Come on, that annoying voice of his.
Sing-song. Whining. Nasal.
Shut up. We need to conduct an investigation into where he's coming from.
Absolutely.
That's all that.
UPS workers on the picket line say demands for full-time jobs. That is one of the major reasons they're on strike against a giant delivery service bringing in part-time folks. You know, they don't want that. Hurts full-time jobs.
Hey, Fred, how does this affect the Auto Body Express?
Well, we ship UPS, so it has we'll just go to FedEx is all, but that is a problem. UPS is trying to do a Walmart, where they want most of their people part-time, so they don't have to pay them any benefits.
Oh, I see.
So it's the workers are probably justified in going on this strike.
So you're siding with the workers, and
yeah, I mean, just the way the country's going. That these companies just want to screw the worker.
Please don't start with another one of your analysis about something. God, I just wondered how it was going to affect the Auto Body Express. That's all I wanted to know.
Well, it won't have much effect because we'll just go to FedEx.
By the way, congratulations on behalf of not only everyone here in the program, but your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer for yet another stupid sports pick.
I apologize for that. I lost my focus.
God.
The past couple of weeks, I took my eye off the ball.
My brother selected Dale Earnhardt to win the Brickyard 400 NASCAR race.
Right.
And the last time I checked, Mr. Earnhardt was running 2 laps down, and the race was over. Man.
Well, he is over. He should. It's over. He'll never win another race because the fire's gone.
Well.
And he might as well get out before it gets to those cold ashes.
Well,
there's still a flicker there.
Yeah, but he has this new crew chief. Don't you remember that last January? They had this big press conference, and he got a new crew chief, and he's all fired up.
Turn everything around.
Around.
When I'm watching him drive, it just doesn't look like I don't know if there's something wrong with the car or what, but he doesn't seem to be as aggressive. You watch Jeff Gordon drive, there's a guy that wants to win.
I hate Jeff Gordon.
That is ignorant.
What's ignorant?
Well, why do you hate Jeff Gordon?
Because he pulled a chump move during a Coca-Cola 600.
He's 24 years old. You got to cut him some slack. Sometimes they're going to, he's young. I thought it was stupid too, but you can't hold that against him.
All right, never mind. Then I don't hate him.
He's a natural driver.
I said, never mind. I don't hate him. I hate you. So.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. I love my brother.
You love your brother.
Aren't you coming out here?
I'll be out there Friday. Well, not there. I'll be in Page, Arizona on Friday.
I'm making my plans. I don't know what I'm going to do. I know one thing I don't want to do.
What?
So I don't want to drive to Flagstaff. I'm not ever going to. I don't like Flagstaff, so I don't want to meet you in Flagstaff and stay overnight there, and then still have to go over to Kingman. That's just not something I want to do. To go to waste all this great weather around here to go over to around that area.
My brother and I are going over to shoot the old ranch where we partly grew up for Arizona Highways. Maybe for Arizona Highways. So. Yeah, And we're going to shoot it in black and white.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. You don't want to do that now?
No, I want to do it, but I don't want to waste a lot of time over there when, I mean, it's a long way from here. You know, I'm up in the air about
Well, why don't we discuss this some other time and let Charles do the news? Go ahead, Charles. I'm sorry to my brother. What? Pardon me?
I says I love Charles.
Oh, that's what I thought you said. I thought you said screw Charles.
That's what I thought I heard.
Charles is my friend, you know.
Okay.
One of my few friends. I don't have any friends but Charles, and that's about it, ain't it?
My toast is discolored here. What is that, Charles?
What do you mean?
Like your toes.
Oh, is that black? Is that black on there?
Mold on there?
Let me see that. Pass that over here, man, so I can take a close look.
What the hell is it?
That's mold. But mold won't hurt you. That won't hurt you.
Oh, I'm not eating that.
No, that's all right.
You don't want black stuff on there, do you?
Well, I don't know what it is. Let's say it's all right.
Yeah, mold. There's nothing wrong with mold.
Okay, go ahead, Chuck.
You were going to eat that?
What do I care? I'm starving to death.
Okay. An Israeli official says Israeli Secret Service agents and police have been dispatched to New York to look into the alleged plot to bomb a Brooklyn subway station here that was broken up last week. The FBI and New York police trying to determine if the two Palestinian men arrested with a bomb cache were acting alone or if they are tied into some sort of terrorist group. President Clinton's national security advisor, Sandy Berger, tells CBS so far there's no evidence to establish a link. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says he wants assurances the Palestinians are going to crack down on terrorism there if there is to be any hope for restoring the peace process.
We expect the Palestinian Authority to do what it hasn't done so far, and that is to take an all-out effort, an all-out sweep to round up the terrorists, their leaders, interrogate them, and of course cooperate with us in the sharing of information that may prevent additional tragedies, additional blows to peace.
One of the things this fathead has to do is stop provoking them too, you know? And that's the essence of Tom Friedman's column on the op-ed page of the New York Times this morning. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk to Mr. Friedman in 17 minutes.
Good.
And that is that neither Arafat nor Netanyahu are up to this. So, I mean, it's just silly. It's on the internet, by the way. I just popped it up here on MSNBC, so if you want to check it out. But, all right. Mr. Friedman will speak to that, probably more colorfully, because he tends to be a little looser on the program than he is on the op-ed page of the Times.
Yeah.
And then he has to explain it in terms that some idiot like me can understand.
Exactly.
So, and hence then you can't as well.
And he is able to do that very...
And perhaps you already know the answers, but it's always... That's who we booked, and that's who we're going to talk to. So.
Darn right. Nobody better.
How's your horses, Fred?
They're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Riding fellas yesterday.
The dogs are fine?
The dogs are... one of them took my remote outside, so I haven't found the remote. So I had to go and turn the TV on by hand, you know. Can't sit here with the remote anymore because one of these bastards took it outside and hid it.
You can get him his own remote?
One of your dogs took the remote outside.
Yeah, they do that once in a while. They'll just, you know, they'll just pick up anything and take it out there. I mean, they don't do it all the time, but obviously it's something they wanted to watch, you know. I want to watch one of my movies, one of my special movies.
Well, we don't need to talk about your special.
Like them special movies.
I just want to talk about it. How does it run for mayor of Santa Fe coming?
So I got to meet with the county clerk, I think, on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So go down there and see what's going on.
See if you're qualified, or you.
Yeah, see if I'm qualified, and got to figure out how to raise more money.
Weren't you at a big birthday party there in Santa Fe last night?
Well, yeah, I went over to a friend I have had his birthday, and they invited me over.
Did you sense any support there among the guests?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so.
I got a lot of support, you know.
I know that. In fact, there's shocking support, frankly, particularly from the business community there in Santa Fe. It is 13 after the hour here in the Imus Morning Program. Do you have anything else, Fred, or can we please just get rid of you?
No, I'm pretty much petered out.
Yeah.
Speaking of that...
I'm sure you are. Go ahead, Jeff.
Speaking of that, her face was red, her lipstick was off, she was flustered, happy, and joyful. That is a quote from this Linda Tripp, a friend of former White House staffer Kathleen Willey, who worked with Ms. Willey in the White House counsel's office, who said Ms. Willey, quote, graphically described an incident in November of 1993 in which President Clinton allegedly took Willey from the Oval Office to his private hideaway, where he where he allegedly kissed and fondled her. Ms. Tripp, as I mentioned, herself a former White House staffer, tells all of this to Newsweek magazine to indicate that the incident was not sexual harassment. Ms. Willie had worked in the White House social office and the legal counsel's office. Her husband, who had worked with his wife on the 1992 Clinton presidential campaign, they were both involved in that.
What did he say about all this?
Well, he was found shot to death in his car on November 29, 1993.
No, he wasn't.
His death was ruled a suicide. Kathleen Willie is fighting a subpoena from Paula Jones' lawyers to give a deposition in the sexual harassment lawsuit against the president that Ms. Jones has filed. They're trying to establish that there is, with Mr. Clinton, a sort of pattern of behavior.
But how long after her husband committed suicide did this incident happen at the White House?
Bernard?
I believe within weeks. It was November of 93.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see.
So perhaps she got over it really quick.
Well, I don't know. But at any rate, Newsweek magazine is saying...
You're not married anymore, are you? Hot damn.
That's just not necessary.
And that's not what happened.
I mean, I don't think we...
Well, I don't know.
Why is that? That's just uncalled for.
Guess I could call you Free Willie now.
Fred, I love you. I'll call you later. It's 15 after the hour.
And up in Albuquerque is Maya Angelou.
Okay, let's go. The White House, the country, we all in shock. Paula Jones can sue Clinton for exposing his cockroach-sized penis. Incarceral ID marks on his white meat. Ask me where they came from? Al Gore's nicotine-stained teeth.
That will be fine.
If your radio sounds funny in the morning, you're listening to Imus in the morning.
One more thing, man.
Yeah.
You way off the hook. Shut the funk up about your dumbass book.
In the morning.
Good morning, everyone. This is ABC 33 meteorologist Stan Boney with 1390 WRTK weather. A service this morning of the Citizens Banking Company, which was recently ranked the second best mid-sized bank in the nation by U.S. Bankers Magazine. Call the Citizens Banking Company in Boardman, Struthers, Lowville, or on South Avenue. Mostly cloudy with scattered showers today, the high around 75. Mostly cloudy overnight, the low 55 to 60. Partly sunny skies tomorrow, the high around 75. Same thing Wednesday, partly sunny and 75 degrees. With 1390 WRTK weather, I'm ABC 33 meteorologist Stan Boney.
In at 8:16, we have 67 degrees at the radio center.
With Big Board Sports, I'm ABC 33's Bob Hennon. Tribe heading into Motown to take on the Tigers tonight, coming off a tough loss, losing in Texas 8-7. Looked like they had sealed the deal with a 7-5 lead going bottom 9. However, Mike Jackson gives up 3. Will Clark sack fly the game winner. The Indians lead, though, staying at 3.5 over Milwaukee. Brewers lose to Seattle 6-5 and 4 over the White Sox. Angels knock them off again 4-1. Tonight, Charles Nagy on the mound. You can hear the game right here. Also, Baltimore beats Oakland 7-5. Still a 6-game edge on the Yanks, a winner over Minnesota 6-5. KC down Boston 5-2, and Detroit over Toronto 5-2. Pirates entertain the Braves at Three River Stadium. John Smoltz, Steve Cook, the opening game matchup in the 2-game set. The Bucks without Kevin Young, out 4 to 6 weeks with a torn ligament in his thumb. That's a tough loss for Pittsburgh. They still were able to persevere yesterday, beating Colorado 8-4. Bucks this season against the Rockies 7-1, 6 of those victories coming from behind. They're still 6 back of the Astros, who beat the Mets 3-2. Phillies hammer the Cardinals 10-1. Giants stay in first place, beating Cincy 8-3. Braves lead 5.5 over the Marlins. Florida doubled up Atlanta 8-4, and Montreal down San Diego 6-3. Couple of NFL exhibition games. It's the Raiders beating Dallas 34-27. Jacksonville down in Carolina 23-9. Tonight, Miami and Denver do battle in Mexico City. Dan Marino and John Elway expected to play about a quarter. The Dumaurier Classic up in Toronto, the third major on the LPGA Tour, goes to Colleen Walker, her first win since 1992. She was 2 shots better than Lisa Lott-Neumann. And Virginia police have arrested NBA Rookie of the Year Allen Iverson. He's been arrested on drug and firearm charges. He was the passenger in a car going 93 in a 65-mile zone. Under the mat in front of his seat, they found a gun and also marijuana in the car. Again, the Tribe tonight, Nagy on the mound. You can hear it all right here. That's Big Board Sports. I'm ABC 33's Bob Hannon on 1390 AM WRTK.
Everyone agrees crime is a national problem, but how do normal, everyday people fight it on a local level? One way is through organized efforts to bring the problem to light. And that's why the Youngstown Area Crime Watch is sponsoring a National Night Out Anti-Crime March August 5th here in Youngstown. The march begins at 4 p.m. at Madison Avenue and Elm Street and moves to Wick Park, where refreshments will be served and live entertainment presented. Donations of food are needed. Call Annie Hall at 742-8973 for more information. This message brought to you by the concerned folks at the McGuffey Mall, IGA.
If summer had a taste, it would taste gold as the sun. Icy as a dip in a pine woods lake. Lazy as a hammock on a Sunday afternoon. It would taste like country time. Like good old-fashioned homemade lemonade. Tart, but sweet. And welcome as a 3-day weekend. Country Time Lemonade Flavored Drink Mix. The taste of summer, any old time at all.
Man, my feet are killing me.
No, you're killing us feet.
Great, now I got a talking foot.
If you took better care of us, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
What do you want from me?
Dr. Scholl's Air Pillow insoles with new Sure Grip foam.
I got insoles.
You got store brand insoles. Look, tests prove the new Air Pillow gives better all-day cushioning.
Really?
So save a few pennies or get the comfort us feet deserve. Get Dr. Scholl's Air Pillow insoles.
With Sure Grip foam.
Your feet thank you.
The best way to keep up with all today's events is to watch the award-winning 33 Eyewitness News 6 o'clock report. But when you can't watch, you can listen. Tune in the all-new 1390 AM Real Talk WRTK for the Eyewitness News simulcast. You'll hear all the news, the complete weather at 6:05 during First Weather, and the story behind the score from Big Board Sports, your sports authority. 33 Eyewitness News at 6 and the all-new 1390 AM Real Talk WRTK, an unbeatable combination.
Follow the Cleveland Indians all season long on Real Talk 1390 AM WRTK.
Now, Imus in the Morning 2020 Sports with Mark Breen.
The team is owned, and it belongs to you, the fans. Cherish it and take care of it. Thank you.
An emotional day at Cooperstown. Good morning. Mike Breen with sports. Phil Necro, one of 4 new members inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame yesterday. Necro was emotional, as was fellow inductee Tommy Lasorda. Unfortunately, Lasorda's day in the sun turned ugly as the former Dodger manager's speech went on, finally to the point where the crowd started booing and hecklers were heard.
52 years ago, I left Norristown, Pennsylvania, as a 17-year-old aspiring left-hander, scared to death. Never been more than 14 miles from my home. And here it is, 52 years later. I come into Cooperstown and scared to death.
But Lasorda, he pressed on, not paying attention to the annoyed crowd. Eventually, the speech came to an end. Baseball last night, Dodgers lose in 12. Cubs beat them 4-3.